to talk United States soccer in this case. Former U.S. men's national team star Eric Wynalda joining us. I will request of you to inform the people. Obviously, there's a big campaign. The American Outlaws, the official supporter group, Bottle 676 has come out. They have put out a letter asking for a change at the manager position of the U.S. men's national team after let's call a square, a disappointing early exit from Copa America. Can you just kind of give us an update? There was a report last week that a decision on Berhalter will be made this week. It is only Monday, but we haven't really heard anything yet. Can you just kind of update us on what you know about the situation so far?
So it's really about getting all of the players in one room. This is not a Zoom call meeting when you make a decision of this magnitude. And people need to understand, if you go back to how Gregg Berhalter was hired in the first place, there was several new characters that weighed in. Cindy Cohen, who's the acting president, brought in a guy named JT Batson. Neither one of them were going to make the call. They hired a guy named Matt Crocker, who's just made his way back over from the Euros. Apparently, the U.S. Soccer Federation was paying for his trip to Germany, which is, I don't get either. But there's another group called Sportsology that is located in New York. And don't forget Don Garber. He will be a part of this decision too. So I've been told that the meeting is in New York. It started today. It might take a few days. A decision may have already been made to remove Gregg Berhalter as the coach. The next step is, can you financially figure out how to pay him off and finance the next coach? So a lot to discuss. I made a joke earlier on my show that maybe this is the first time that the Federation had more accountants in the room than lawyers, and maybe that's a good thing.
So if you look at the future of U.S. soccer, it feels to me we've got a multi-pronged set of reasons why we just can't compete with the rest of the world. And it feels like we're kind of the Diet Coke version of England. Like we just continue to disappoint earlier than I think expected. Our striking hasn't been great, but also there's like cultural reasons that the U.S. has that England does not have. Do you think that we can ever compete talent-wise with the rest of the world, or do you think a lot of this comes down to the managing?
It really is the manager. I do think we have a very talented team. I'm not going to call them the golden generation. They're more like the silver spooners. They're an entitled bunch of guys that think that they've already done something. That's the old school guy in me coming out. I apologize for throwing rocks, but they got to beat somebody in the top 25, and it should be somebody outside of Mexico before we can start thinking that these guys have really accomplished something. But it really does come down to management. You brought up Gareth Southgate in England. There has been a lot of correlation between the two mindsets of the countries. And it really comes down to systemic play. I mean, our guys have been forced to play in a system. This is a coach that will never – the system is never at fault. It's never his fault. It's just guys didn't execute. And a lot of ex-players, people like myself, analysts, and who are looking at this from the outside, you can see the talent. You can see the potential. It's just the methodology isn't working. These guys can play the game at a high level, and they're very good. They're playing at big clubs, but they're being forced to play a certain way. And that's just for your audience. That's not how the national team works. It's forced friendship. You pick the best players, or the best players essentially pick themselves that they're a part of your country. And then you as a manager need to figure out what that puzzle looks like. He's been forcing round pegs to the square holes for a while, and it isn't working. So I think a change is necessary, but I also think that somebody who with a little bit more experience, who's going to be not afraid to take the reins off of these guys and let them play and let them show us their personalities. Because I would go back to your original question. I think the manager has been holding them back.
I go back to leading up to Copa, the 5-1 loss against Colombia, the worst of Berhalter's tenure, and then a 1-1 draw against Brazil. And it felt like U.S. soccer wanted to throw a damn ticker tape parade for a draw at home in D.C. And to me, it was two things. Number one, it was tactics. And I know there's a lot of people who kind of feels like a lot of people throw that around as a lazy take, but people who are a little more sophisticated in soccer, I think, have seen that. And B, player development. You talked about the entitlement. To me, if you've got a coach who is kind of allowing that, and it's always about the good vibes and never about good results of matches, you're not going to go anywhere. And the biggest problem to me, Eric, is we host the World Cup in 2 years. If it's on the same schedule, the next time it rolls around, I'll be in my mid-70s, which means I'll be dead. I want this one to not be a disappointment. And it feels like I don't care if there's 2 years left. Gregg Berhalter has shown, nice guy or not, that he's not the guy to get the most out of this team. What is the holdup with U.S. soccer? Or is there some little bit of them that still believes Berhalter's the guy, but 6 years just isn't enough time?
A couple of things to unpack there. And first of all, I hope you live into your 80s. I hope that we figure it out by then. Secondly, when you look at the ticker parade, thinking that this was such a great accomplishment, the 1-1, it really did feel like a loser mentality. And then you flash forward to the game against Uruguay, when I guess the most damning thing that we got out of that game was when a coach goes, "It's 1-1, it's 1-1," meaning he's referring to the other game and not playing the game he's in. I don't think he'll ever be able to overcome that. Look, I think when you look at where we are as a country and the decision that needs to be made now, there's a couple. Most of us are saying the same thing. We're all saying 2026 is not an opportunity to screw this up. We can't screw this up. It's too important. Regardless of the fact we got to share the money and the tournament with Canada and Mexico, we have to have the best showing that we could possibly ever have, because these opportunities come along once in a lifetime. I got to live in one in 1994. I got to play in front of the United States. It was an unbelievable experience. Our guys just need a couple of things to happen, and that is to get a belief. You said in their results are important. This coach has been talking about performance. Oh, it's all about the performance. No, this is not a sport where we come out, we entertain, and they boo or they clap. That's not how this works. There's a scoreboard. Somebody wins, somebody loses. And the most of us need a coach and a mentality in a group that, whether you want to call them entitled or maybe complacent or they're too friendly with their coach, they got to go out there and kick ass and win. That's what we're about. I've said this multiple times, man. The last verse in our anthem is "Home of the Brave." We need to be brave right now, and we need a coach that's willing to be brave enough to let these guys really play. I believe in them. I still do. I just think that they have been on the shorter side of the stick simply because they haven't had the right information.
15-second answer. We're up against it. What news will American soccer fans hear this week from the Federation?
Wait till Wednesday midweek. There will be some sort of statement in regards to Berhalter. But don't get your hopes up on a really quick replacement. We might have to live with an intern.
That'll be very interesting. Eric Wynalda, former U.S. men's national team player. He is also a host on Sirius Radio. Joins us here on BetMGM tonight. Eric, my man, great stuff. Very much appreciated, boss.
Love you guys.
Eric.
Thanks.